my name is Lexington, and I am an indie artist, singer-songwriter, and this channel is dedicated to artist journey, artist development, and life advice, and occasionally pep talks. So if you're interested in any of those topics, if you are an artist, creator, this is your place. And today we're going to be talking about how to stop self-sabotage. Let's go. This topic is organized into 7 parts, and we're just going to go through each one, and I'm going to have the timestamps down below, so if you want to skip in the timeline to a specific part, then definitely go ahead and do that. I wanted to start with how to identify and accept that you are self-sabotaging. And the main point with this was a lot of people don't want to admit to themselves that they are actively, subconsciously trying to kind of ruin good things that are going for them. And this doesn't make you crazy. This doesn't make you weird. A lot of people do this. The difference is most people don't realize they're doing it. So once you've come to this realization and acceptance of it, you're already above, like you're on a different level than a lot of people just in day-to-day life, because it's a very subconscious thing. And so, especially if it's normal for you, you won't really notice that you're doing it. But for me, it comes through a lot in specific areas of my life. So yeah, definitely the first step would be to acknowledge, hey, I'm self-sabotaging right now. So try to just catch yourself in a moment when that light bulb just goes off and you realize that the reason you're saying no to this opportunity, or the reason you don't want to accept this new job, or whatever the situation is, being able to catch it in that moment and say, okay, the reason I'm shutting this down is not because it's not right for me, it's because I'm scared of success, or whatever it is, or I'm scared of love. This happens a lot in relationships. This happens in so many different areas of our lives, and so I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But yeah, the first step, just focus on actively catching yourself in the moment of self-sabotage. And that's kind of tricky and difficult to do, but if you can do that, it will help you a lot with the rest of this. So step 2 is kind of in step 1. So I guess like this would be step 1. That would be like part A, and this would be part B, would be to forgive yourself. And I wanted to mention this because it's the hardest part, at least for me. Once you realize that you're kind of actively trying to ruin your life in these little minuscule ways, but they add up after a while. Once you realize that you are the culprit, it's kind of hard to, number 1, acknowledge and accept it, but then number 2, it's even harder to say, okay, it's okay. I've done this to myself, and the only way that I'm going to overcome this is to forgive myself and then to start fresh. And you can do this at any point, and you're most likely going to have to do this over and over and over again, because that's what self-sabotage is, right? It's a cycle. So being able to acknowledge and then forgive is really, really key. And there are different ways that you can work towards forgiving yourself. If you are very visual or you like to write a lot, I 100% recommend journaling about that specifically. Okay, today this thing happened. It's a great opportunity, and my instinct was to turn it down, and I think it's because, and you can just go deep into it, but it's very, very important that you talk to yourself, or you write down and you say, it's okay. I have the freedom and ability to forgive myself and to start over tomorrow, and just keep doing that. So that's kind of step 1, part A and part B. And then now we're going to move into step 2, which is identify what forms of self-sabotage are getting in the way. So self-sabotage is very broad, and it comes in a lot of different little habits. And I think a lot of these are just so normal to us that we don't realize that they actually do stem from self-sabotage. So I'm going to put a list of them on the screen, but I'm going to talk about one specific form, or maybe 2, that I've been dealing with, and that a lot of other people, especially people in the creative field, tend to deal with. So the first thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to identifying a specific form of self-sabotage is perfectionism. So this impacts everyone, not just creatives, but if you are a creative, this will really help you just move past projects that maybe you've been like a loop cycle, you've been kind of trapped constantly trying to make it perfect. So whatever area it is, whether you're creative or not, this still applies. So perfectionism is a form of self-sabotage. You are preventing yourself from learning and growing and trying things because you don't want to be bad at them. This has to be exactly what's in my head and my expectation. It has to match that. And if it doesn't, then it's useless, it's not good enough, and all this other stuff. So being able to say, okay, perfectionism has really prevented me from trying new things, from moving on. It can really stop you from, maybe you want a new job, but you're so focused on the fact that like, okay, I'm not good enough, I don't have all the boxes checked, everything's not perfect, it's not the right time. It can really prevent you from achieving success on any caliber. So that is a form that I've been dealing with a lot. The second one I would say that's very common that I'm going to talk about is procrastination. Everybody does this, but I think it relates to self-sabotage directly because procrastination really snowballs and makes your life harder than it needs to be. So it really is a form of self-sabotage. It will create bigger problems in the long run, and it just makes your life hard. And we don't need life to be harder than it already is. And usually I think perfectionism and procrastination kind of go hand in hand, because if you are a perfectionist and you don't think that your work is good enough, then you tend to procrastinate on doing things because you just have this belief that it's never going to be good enough. So those two, and a lot of these different forms really do like marry, like they kind of couple up, or like several different forms kind of come together to create this big self-sabotage monster. So now once you've identified your forms, and for most people there's going to be quite a few, so there's a lot for me. Once you've identified what forms of self-sabotage are kind of taking over your life or are present, then the next step would be to identify what areas of your life they are very present in. This could be love, romance, this could be work related, finance related, just relationships in general. This could be even just on a really personal level, like not making time for yourself and your hobbies, your things that you're passionate about. Maybe it's traveling. You've been wanting to go on this trip, but you've been procrastinating doing this and this and that. And all of those, there's a million different areas of life that it could be impacting, but get specific on what form of self-sabotage it is, and then get specific on what area of your life you notice it in the most. And it's going to bleed into all different areas of your life, but I think it's important to start with one specific area because it's easier. It's a lot less overwhelming if you are just more mindful at work. If it's job, work related for you, if you can just kind of zero in when you're at work and just start noticing little things that you do and start catching those moments. That's helped me a lot. For me, it's been with more creative endeavors. So like procrastinating on writing a new song, or I need to collaborate with this person, but I haven't reached out to them yet. Or perfectionism. I don't have all the right equipment for this thing. And it can be a million different things. I'm just gonna recap real quick. Number one was accept and acknowledge and forgive. You need to kind of catch it in the moment, just so that you can acknowledge that it's there. And then, keep forgiving yourself. And then number two is, okay, I need to start doing some digging. Let's get specific on what form of self-sabotage is impacting my life, what forms. And then number three, identify where. And this just makes it easier to catch those moments. Now, once you're at step three, where do we go from here? So, okay, like I know what's happening. I've been able to identify what area of my life mainly that this is happening in. What do I do about it? Step four is going to be all about your mindset. And this is really broad, I know, but we're going to break it down. So you really want to start becoming aware and doing a deep dive on your subconscious mind, because this is if you take away anything from this video, focus on the subconscious mind, because that is the part of you that is really running the show. And there's a lot of different resources that, like, there's tons of books, there's tons of YouTube videos that talk about this. But there's a lot of different ways you can kind of become aware. I like journaling personally. Also just being on YouTube is such an advantage because there's so many different people that talk about this. Obviously take it with a grain of salt, like this video, you know, apply it to your own personal circumstances. But I would recommend just first of all learning about what the subconscious mind is, and then second of all, start just becoming aware of these little negative thoughts that you have related to your self-sabotage, related to your work, whatever those two fields are. Like, okay, I procrastinate at work. Then just get specific and start realizing your subconscious mind. What do you believe? What do you believe? Start becoming aware of what you secretly believe. That sounds so weird to say, but things that you just kind of have always believed. Maybe it's from your childhood, your parents, whatever it is. So I'll just give you an example. So I've been focused on overcoming perfectionism, which is a form of self-sabotage, specifically when it comes to creativity and being an artist. So now I'm working on my mindset, what I believe about success, what I believe about creativity, what I believe about myself when it relates to these things. Do I believe that I'm organized, or do I believe that I'm not good enough and that I'm never going to have the resources I need, or equipment is so expensive? Really just start listening to those little thoughts that creep up, become aware of them. I love writing them down. Definitely that's a huge part of this. Write them down when you notice them. Just put them in your notes on your phone, whatever you can do. So that is step 4. So just to recap that, step 4 is to become aware of your mindset. What do you believe? Your subconscious mind is running the show. So you really need to start learning all about the subconscious mind, how it relates to your life. There's so many resources, so many books, so many YouTube videos about this. And I will leave a few things linked down below that have helped me a lot. Just explore, just do a deep dive and figure out what these limiting beliefs are when it pertains to your specific field that you've picked. So like if it's love, or if it's money, or if it's something else, get specific on those little thoughts that you normally don't realize you're thinking, but are just kind of like in the background of your mind, and become aware of what those beliefs are, specifically the limiting beliefs, the negative beliefs, the beliefs that kind of encourage this self-sabotage. Step 5 is going to be kind of proving these beliefs wrong. So whenever you write down these negative beliefs, there's probably going to be a few. For me, there was a list. Take a little bit of time and just write down. I mean, honestly, speaking them out loud is even better. After you've written them down, speak them out loud and you'll hear how absolutely ridiculous they sound, because they are. And if you don't think that they're ridiculous, might have to make a separate video, but definitely speak them out loud. And just, like, for example, I'll give an example about money. Money is the root of all evil. How many people have heard that? Way too many. But after speaking that out loud, it just sounds absolutely ridiculous, because it is. Money is an essential part of this society and world in order to survive, and there's no reason why. I mean, we can all have a slice of the pie, right? There's more than enough to go around. So once you identify it, write it down, step 4. Step 5, speak it out loud, realize how ridiculous it sounds. And then you're going to, after you kind of realize that it's really stupid and that you deserve to be successful and happy, then you're going to start proving it wrong. So you're going to write down why this is wrong, and you can think of a million like experiences or things that have proved this belief wrong. So for example, my family donates money to charities. So you know, this disproves that belief that money is the root of all evil, because it's helping people. Money helps people. Money gives people what they need. There's plenty enough of money to go around. So really disproving these beliefs, thinking of experiences, and then proving them wrong is a really important part of this exercise. So that's going to be step 5, and you can do as many of these beliefs as you want. As just pace yourself as much as you want to do. I like to do like a little bit, maybe every other day or something like that. Whatever works for you in your schedule. Step 6 is kind of in conjunction to step 5, because after you've proven the belief wrong, you're going to want to go in and immediately replace it with a new belief. So that way that kind of, you've taken out the trash, right? So like that empty space needs to be filled with something positive. You don't need to give yourself a chance to like put something negative back in there. So immediately after you've identified it and proven it wrong, you're going to want to go back in and replace it with a positive belief. And you can choose whatever you want. We'll use money is the root of all evil as the example again. So after you've proven that wrong, I've taken that experience, written that down. Actually, this is wrong and stupid. And now we're going to plug in money helps people connect. Money helps people grow and expand. Money spreads love and joy by giving people the things that they need and the things that they want. It could be anything. That's just what I came up with off the top of my head. You can probably come up with a way better one. But that just, any positive belief, just plug it in. Once you have identified the belief and then you have disproved it, taken out the trash, replaced it with a new belief, I kind of forgot to mention this, but if you pay attention to all of these negative beliefs individually and you kind of go in, you will realize that each one of these beliefs has a root belief. And usually this root belief is something like, I'm not enough. There's several different root beliefs that I have found in a lot of my negative limiting beliefs. So I'm just going to leave a little thing on the screen, just several ones that I've noticed personally with mine. And one of these root beliefs that is most prevalent and common in so many people's lives and so many people's negative limiting beliefs is the belief I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. And this root belief, once you see that pattern in all these negative limiting beliefs, I've said that a million times. Once you see that pattern, then you really know what you need to work on. It helps so much just across the board of all of these different areas of your life. That root belief is kind of connected. You'll see that in so many different areas and so many different thoughts. So once you can identify that, then you can start disproving that belief as well, which helps a ton. So I'm not enough. You can disprove that. Just once again, take positive experiences and find proof that you are. And this can be tricky because a belief like this is so deeply seated oftentimes that it's just very challenging to like rip that up, rip that out. But every single day, I think it's important to repeat positive beliefs, and that kind of leads into step 7. So you've replaced this belief with a positive one. Now you kind of need to like keep up the structure, the barrier. I guess a better way to think about this would be like maintaining a garden and not letting the weeds get into your rose bush. I don't know. Not letting the weeds trail into like your tomato plant. Whatever it is. I like tomatoes and roses. Okay, whatever it is, you're going to want to kind of maintain it. So step 7 is to repeat the process and come up with a routine where you repeat these positive affirmations or write them down or whatever works for you. Once again, there's tons of resources you can do pretty much whatever you want. The key is to just repeat this and get it ingrained in your brain so that you really start to believe it. And this is especially important with root beliefs because they're so deeply, they're in there, you know? You're really gonna have to repeat this process a lot. You're gonna have to kind of repeat that positive belief. Oh my God. You're gonna have to repeat that positive belief every day, I would say, every day. So when it comes to creating a routine, it's really helpful to link these affirmations or journaling, whatever it is, to another habit that you already do. So if you get up in the morning and make your coffee, link your positive affirmation time to your coffee. So that way every morning when you get up, you take that first sip, you're like, oh yeah, now it's time to repeat my affirmations. And there's a lot of like YouTube videos or Spotify, there's a lot of tracks already made with positive affirmations that you can just listen to. Even just listening to them is so much better than not doing anything at all. And since your subconscious brain is kind of always active, when you're constantly hearing this information or speaking or writing this information, it will become easier to really accept it and replace the negative beliefs that you've had for so long, because you've been repeating them over and over to yourself for years. So if you do the same thing just with positive beliefs, and especially if you do the take out the trash exercise that we talked about, where you prove them wrong, replace, prove them wrong, replace, notice the root belief, prove it wrong, replace it. When you go in that deep and you really do that much work, and you really notice that much and you're that aware, it'll be even easier for you to replace those negative beliefs with these positive ones. Because you've done the work, you've gone through the motions, you know that, hey, that's absolutely not true at all. And the next time that you notice it pop up in your brain, you can go, actually, you're wrong, and then say your positive belief. Really the key to this is just repetition. So that's why step 7 is even in here, because if you don't follow through, if you don't protect your rose bush and your tomato plant, those weeds are going to get back in and take over again. So very important. Yeah, this is an ongoing process. Keep going. You are doing so amazing. Even just by being aware and watching videos on this, you're already taking the first step. And that's honestly the hardest part. So yeah, if you like this kind of video, if you like this kind of content, especially if you are an artist or a creator, this channel is dedicated to life advice, but also it's told from an artist and a creator's point of view. So yeah, let me know any suggestions you have about the video, if the audio is good, you know, any sort of constructive, helpful criticism is gladly appreciated. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome day.